Good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful people. How are you guys doing? It is Sunday. I remember last week I did the wrong day. So it is Sunday, beautiful Sunday morning after a beautiful weekend. Got a lot of rain on Saturday, but yesterday was a beautiful day. So I hope you guys got out and enjoyed time with yourself, with family. So we're back at it. I'm back at it. I don't know if Brandon's going to join us this morning, but hey, KL, how is it going? We are rocking, I'm rocking day 123. Let me get this changed over here just in case. All right. So we're here for daily motivations for African American success. And what we tell you guys is to please get the book. If you have not and you've rocked with us a few times, then shame on you. But Daily Motivations for African American Success. The author is Dennis Kimbro, who is also the author of Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. So let me pull Brandon in. How's it going, Brandon?
Good morning, Mom. How you doing today, sweetie?
I'm good. I'm good. Good morning, Miss Brenda
Yeah.
Davis. Miss Brenda Davis, how are you doing over there? Call you Miss Fouty Shouty. So, all right, Brandon, what you got going? Getting the crust out
Ah,
your eyes?
I know. You see, I had to get that. Make sure that coffee was hitting right.
Mm,
But all is well. No, all is well. A little sleepy. Worked really hard yesterday. Really
mm.
hard.
I know
But
the
felt
weather
good.
ended up being in your advantage. I thought, wow, because it turned out to be, we thought it was going to rain, but it turned out to be pretty dry day
Yeah, it
for the
did. It
most
did.
part.
There was still some rain from the other 2 days, so I was fighting the mosquitoes outside doing some of my contract work. And then the guys in the community where I was working at that lived in the apartment building behind ended up shooting and playing with guns while I was over there working. So
Wow.
that I know that was interesting. Young kids too. I mean, like
Hmm.
between 15 and maybe 19. I don't know, maybe even younger than that. But I ended up talking to them a little bit, and now they call me Unc.
Hmm.
It ended up
Wow.
working out. Yeah, it ended up working out. So couldn't go nowhere, and I was like, one of them was like, we noticed that you didn't go nowhere. We were shooting right over there beside you. I was like, well, where am I go? And then I got to come back tomorrow and work. That's what I'm thinking. It's like, what I look like skidding off, and I got to come back tomorrow and work. And now I look like a lick. So they ended up. I was telling them, no, don't shoot like that over there. It's like, oh, we're just trying to see which. They were just trying to see which one sounded the loudest, and like they weren't even. There wasn't
Hmm.
nothing violent intended, but definitely some consequences that I think that could have landed them all, in jail. So I talked to them for a little bit, got back to work. They went home, and I went home. Everybody went home. So it ended up working out.
I ended
Ended up
up
working.
talking to a young man yesterday. Interesting again that you bring this up. Well, actually, it was last night as I was getting ready to leave the Italian festival. Um, you know, an opportunity to always make good connections. So as we were, well, this young lady was getting ready to leave and she came over. She was right next to us doing her thing with leaf filter. And so she
Mm,
said, came over, she said, Miss Tammy, can I get your number? Can we switch numbers? And I said, sure. And so told her, we switched numbers, talked a little bit, told her, I'm going to also send you the podcast information. My son and I do a podcast. And when I told her the name of it, she said, wait a minute. And she called this guy over
hmm
to tell him about it. And he is trying, and from the conversation, it seems like he's deeply trying with his heart to bring forth men and fathers and uncles and
hmm
male cousins. Um, and so, of course, y'all know I love that. And
Yeah.
we exchange numbers. And so we're going to do some connecting. And it was interesting because of what Brandon and I are, the documentary that we're trying to do. So I feel like he would be a good person to add to this team and us to his team, is, help each other as best we can. Because at the end of the day, and I shared this with him, and I've shared it with you all who listen here. Um,
Hmm.
I see God's really funny in the sense where He has women. We carry babies 9 months full term for those of us who are able to make it full term, and then whether it's 6, whatever, we birth them. But there's still something so powerful about a man in a child's life, right? And it
Yeah.
doesn't take away, I have to say, it doesn't take away from that power of or from a woman or a mother. It does not take it away. It adds to it. It's needed. It's an ingredient.
Mm.
So it's interesting that you bring that up about those young men, and these young children are hungry
Yeah.
that discipline that comes from a father, right?
Yeah.
That stern, hard, but still comfortable need for that particular kind of love. Right. We
Right.
even talked a little bit. I brought up the part in the Bible where, and I need to go look at this and really make sure I read it so that I can say it right. Read it again so that I can communicate, I guess, effectively communicate my understanding of it. When a brother passes away who has another brother, it talks about the joining of the mom who has those kids
Hmm.
with the brother who's still living. And I was telling him, I feel that's more about um, two brothers should have the same kind of thought process, upbringing, to where they can carry that name. We talked a little bit about this here. So Brandon is interesting, and I'm glad. When I would hear, if I would have heard that from Brandon, I don't know, last year, I don't know, can't put a time on it. It would have freaked me out, and I'd have been like, "What? You didn't run, and you going back?" I understand the assignment, y'all.
Mm.
I understand,
And
and
are you talking
and
about the
I'm glad
part?
he's there. I'm talking about you saying you're going back. You didn't run yesterday,
Oh yeah.
right? When I
Yeah.
heard you say that, it would have put my spirit in a storm. And you're going
Mm.
back, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not. So let's get
I
into
got
it because
I got a bird here. I got a bird here with me.
I hear him. It was so
Right.
funny. We was talking about the
Right. He's
love of
right.
the
He's right
bird.
here next to my arm.
Oh, so he's not in the? Is he in the cage?
Nah, she's just in. Look, she's trying to get my coffee. See if I can show you.
Oh Lord.
Let's see, can you see
Oh,
it?
that's a beautiful bird. I got to get over there and see my. Is it a boy or girl? It's
It's a girl, but I tell
my
you what,
grandchild.
she is playing all over my keyboard. Silly girl. Yep, I got her out just to let her get comfortable, and hope she doesn't make a mess. I'm trusting her, trusting you.
Told y'all Brandon needs a farm. So,
Till I
all
can get
right,
her
well,
the
let's
coffee.
jump into it so we can. I know we got some things we got to do this morning.
Yeah, we do. We do.
So, yeah,
Well,
y'all,
welcome
Brandon.
everybody.
Yeah,
I know you already. Oh crap!
I
I know you
think his
already.
coffee just. Did you just knock your coffee over?
I just knocked my coffee over. I'm trying to play with this bird.
We heard
Oh
it.
my!
I heard it. Did it get on your
It's
computer?
no, no.
Playing with the bird.
Playing with the bird a little bit, a little bit. Oh
I can do the introduction if you want to go ahead and clean that up.
yeah, I appreciate you. Sorry about that, y'all.
Okay,
Golly,
that's
that was some
okay.
good coffee too. That's what I'm worried about. I like
Go
good
get
coffee.
you another cup. I got it.
All right,
I'm
baby.
gonna take you out.
Okay,
Just let
thank
me know when you're back in. All right, y'all. That's I guess what they call live as it goes. All right, so let's get with it. Daily motivations for African American success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead you to the achievement. I love this part, y'all, of your true goals. What are your goals, right? And 365 short but powerful motivations, one for each day of the year. Dennis Kimbro, author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes, but also when to say no, and when to look inward for answers to life's challenges. Each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans, such as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunt Doubt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year. But what it teaches will last a lifetime. And Black Enterprise says that each affirmation in this valuable and thought provoking book takes only a few minutes to read, but it is worthy for more contemplation, right? From you personally. So I am also going to try, because we've not did this in a while, if my book will allow it, if there's any power that can reverse the fortunes of race, it is character, writes Dennis Kimbro. Every thought which enters our mind, every word we utter, every deed we perform makes its impression to every fiber of our being, right? To the uttermost fiber of our being is what it says. So today's topic. All right. I'll tell y'all what I'll do before I get going. I know we said hey to you, KL. Thank you, Miss Brenda. Good morning. Let us know how you did last night. I know that the night before you had some challenges. So how are you feeling this morning? How did you make it through last night? Have you processed some of the things that, wow, 40 years in one location with people will bring on some of us, So have you processed it, and how is that going? Big Mike's in the house. Good morning, everyone. KL said, skin so soft. I think you were talking about Brandon and the mosquito issues that he's having. Hate it. Do you hate the skin so soft, or are you saying you hate the mosquito stuff? Because I don't know about the skin so soft. I remember it, and I think I remember it working, but I have not had that in so long, KL. Avon, you going way back. Telling your age, son. All right. So, Home Alone. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it, you guys. For this, oh, there he is. You may be able to read it. He and his bud.
All
Heard me
right.
talking about you.
Yeah, I hear you. I was watching the show during that time. Y'all
Oh,
good?
okay.
Am I
Yeah.
good? I'm good.
Y'all see, he didn't even get upset about the this little hot headed thing right here. I would remember a time that would just change his whole da 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 da. I do. He's
Really?
just still smiling and like,
Man, I'm up in the morning with my mama at 7 something a.m. and good people. You know, I'm good. And I got a bird.
yeah. And y'all, if I might say, we are literally going to look at a property. We're thinking about buying our first rental property together. Don't know if we'll have it as a rental property, but something. So y'all be in prayer for us on that. That we'll make the right decision, and that it goes through if we decide to do it. We want to. There's something Brandon and I've been talking about for a while. So y'all keep us in your prayers for that. All right,
Yeah.
Brandon. Miss Brenda says, I got a little more rest yesterday, still not sleeping as good at night. I'm coming to grips with some things. I know it will get better. While you wait, Miss Brenda, while you wait, just know that you know whose you are, right? So
Cool. Yeah, I hope you feel better, Miss Brenda. It's gonna be okay. But y'all ready for this Home Alone?
we're ready for Home Alone.
All right. This bird's still messing with me. She want me to play with it, and I'm not about to do it right now. But
So she
let's
better go
see.
sit down.
Home Alone for June 2nd. The quote comes from Sadie Alexander, first African American female to receive a PhD in economics. who said, "My mother called a few places home during her long life, and she had many thoughts to share about her last home, a nursing facility. I live in a nursing home," she once told a visitor. "Many of my friends live here too. Some really get around, and others are quite ill. Regardless, they have lived long, useful lives. Those of us who are mentally alert are still fond of old friendships. Though we may not be quite as mentally alert now, we have pleasant memories. We have people residing in our home who have come from all walks of life. There are mothers, fathers, housewives, doctors, lawyers, teachers, secretaries, nurses, and writers. Just about any occupation that you could imagine. Those of us who can remember the way our friends were when they were healthy can still love and respect them for the person we know they once were. We can still appreciate the good conversation, the friendly visits, and their warm greetings. People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. We all must remember that none of us can totally control the future, and that each of us grows older from the day of birth to the day of death. No matter where life may find us, we should all be grateful for whatever home we may call home. Mary Elizabeth Kimbro has made her transition, but before she left, she encouraged those around her, serving as an inspiration to many. How thoughtless and foolish we are when we forget, for even a moment, how much our elders have given and are continuing to give to the lives of those they touch. So the affirmation that we read three times, one for me, one for you, and one for the person that you're invited to the barbecue, is: today I will thank my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and elders for serving as an inspiration. Today I will thank my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and elders as an inspiration. How many of them do we have? Well, we have so many. Today I will thank my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and elders for serving as an inspiration. What you
Hmm.
got, Mama?
Oh wow.
What you got?
My focus my focus is going to be on the quote. The most lonely place in the world is the human heart
Mm,
when
mm,
love is absent, right?
mm-hmm.
Um and I'm going to make this one my own because I feel like what I'm going to say has maybe nothing to do with the passage, but
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe you guys will find something that makes it be that, okay? So the human heart when love is absent. There's the most lonely place in the world is the human heart when love is absent. Do y'all know there are a lot of lonely people. There are
Yeah.
a lot of lonely people, especially probably in the nursing homes, right? Based on what I've seen with my experience of nursing homes. But there are a lot of lonely people walking around doing day-to-day life. Um, And get this, it says when love is absent,
Mm,
there's a lot of people trying to love those lonely people. Get that? There's
say
a
that
lot
again.
of lonely people. There are many lonely people who are walking around doing day-to-day life
Mm,
because they don't feel love,
mm,
right? It's
mm.
not always because people are not trying to love them, right? So it's about what I'm speaking about is those people who are unavailable for love, who are unavailable. And imagine you being a lonely person, feeling unloved, but there are people around you, whether it be an uncle, friend, grandparents, child, whatever it is. So the issue is, and I get again what this passage is saying about the nursing home being filled with people from all walks of life, but is it the walk of life of a lonely? Is it a lonely heart? Are there people
Mm,
in the nursing home who lived a lonely life, and now will die there? The end was the same as the beginning because some of them made it that way, right? So I
right.
want to focus on your heart, the human heart. The most lonely place in the world is the human heart when love is absent. Is love absent, or is it just a feeling that we've kept alive, that people keep alive because they don't deal with issues, they don't deal with themselves, they don't become one, right? They don't fight the difficult battles. They don't make the difficult choices. They make excuses. And I'm not saying any of these people in or even in this passage that's what this is about, because it sounds more about being thankful um, for even the people there in the place, just the remembrance of friends and so forth. But again, I have to really think about what I see for the times that I've gone to nursing homes. It was totally the opposite. People looked so lonely, and it didn't really hit me that it started there in the nursing home. That it really started there. Something else, Brandon, I don't know if Stella is listening, but I thought about when you were reading, and I don't know if Stella, even Brandon's wife, I don't know if she even remembers telling me this. She said, Mama, um, you have to promise me if you get old, when you get old and you need somebody to take care of you, you that you let us do it, that you come with us, and to hear that from your daughter-in-law, because that would be a big responsibility.
Yeah.
But she said those words to me, and what did that do? Made me feel love, right? But at the same time, you realize that's love, but at the same time, what me as a mother, as her mother in love, I know what stress and it would be an extra job for her, right? So would I be willing to say, you know what, baby, y'all just let me go to the nursing home. Y'all just come visit me and go back. We'll be fine. Would I say that, or would I be open to? I don't know. I don't know. But feelings, y'all, feelings. Don't let feelings get in the way of you being loved. Don't let past traumatic experience. Don't keep trauma. Don't keep feeding traumatic experiences. Have changed behavior so that the people who are, because trust me, like I said, y'all, there's always somebody there to love you, that's trying to love you. Always. I truly believe that. It's just sometimes you don't love yourself enough to know and to accept the love, the relationship. And I found something here that I wanted to read really quick, Brandon. Um,
Yeah.
when a person's first attachment experience is being unloved, this can create difficulty in closeness and intimacy, creating continuous feelings of anxiety and avoidance of creating deep, meaningful relationships. Right? So if you're not creating deep, meaningful relationships, it says also people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. So, see, the most lonely place in the world is the human heart when love is absent. But people who need people and they accept that, they're the luckiest people in the world.
Mm,
Can you just admit that you do need people,
right.
that you want to be loved, that you need to be loved, and that you want to stop avoiding the creation of deep, meaningful relationships.
Mm.
So that's all I have, Brandon.
Thanks, Mama, for sharing. Um, Looking at this, and it reminded me of a study. Not a study. I guess it is a study um, about what people regret the most in their elder years, and it wasn't about how much money they made or how much status they had or or
Mm,
even where they traveled to or anything like that and those experiences, but it was they wish they would have spent more time with the people that they love, that they wish they would have spent more time with the people they love, and they would have cultivated more deeper relationships,
mm,
right, with the people that they love. So for example, many fathers said that they wish they would have spent more time with their daughters and sons instead of working so much. And one thing that was common across everyone is that they said they wish they wouldn't have been so stressed. If they could tell their younger self something, they would say, um, they would say, basically, don't stress, relax. And because that stress is what led them to continue pushing in some direction without human interaction. Right? They
mm,
didn't give that stress to another person that loved them. They didn't talk about it. They didn't, you know, find community uh, within their friends and family to let them know what was going on in their life. Like they basically held stuff in, you know. So, and think about that. Like as we get older, all the things that we've held on to. If you're a person that keeps grudges, how many grudges do you have by the time you're an old person, right? And what does that do to your heart? And then likewise, how many old people do we have in our lives that we have grudges against, that are on their way out? Do we remember them, these elderly people, for who they were, right? The best of who they were, or the worst, and what's our disposition? Are we more likely to remember all the good that they've done for us and our families, or are we thinking about that one, two, maybe three times that they may not have been that that good to us? How much do we see them as humanity? How much do we make it about them, or how much do we make it about us? Um, and thinking about when I first moved back to Memphis after college, one of the first things I worked on with the Health Education Housing Facility Board of where I was doing an internship at the time. This is before I actually had the like a full time job there. It was called Aging in Place. This is 2012 with the Plow Foundation. And one of the things that the city and the state and the nation, the federal government were worried about was the growing age of the baby boomers and where they were gonna go. That you know their housing was becoming dilapidated because they couldn't do the maintenance. Either couldn't afford it, and the ones that wanted to do it themselves didn't have the ability. Right. Also, um, how they wouldn't be able to be mobile. The mobility of the elderly. How going to the grocery store became a hassle. So they would eat less, or they would eat more processed food because it was easier and more convenient, because they didn't want to go to the store or couldn't go to the store, would risk a slip fall if it's raining outside and they had to go down steps. Making these types of decisions. And then when the question was asked of some of these older folks, well, do you have any family in the area? And many of them say, yeah, but they have to work. Yeah, but they have to work. Or yeah, they
mm,
don't have time because they have to work. So I think that's interesting that people can raise us, feed us, bathe us, take care of us, send us to school, and buy us things for our birthday as kids. And when they get older, when they need, we're not there. We're not there in that capacity. They raised us to value education and things like that, and we don't use that education to help them. We don't use our monies to help them. There's so many, like, think about Miss Mary, right? Whose son, you said, I think, is a lawyer, and she slips and falls at her job of 25 years serving tables, and she has to struggle to get to the hospital, to get her surgeries and things like that. Some random kid that she doesn't even know is checking on her, like, when's your hospital date? Do you need someone to take you, to go with you, anything like that? And for her to say to us, what you guys have is different. It's unique. You guys are an anomaly. Because we would go to breakfast every Wednesday, and her saying that she wish her and her son had that type of relationship, that she doesn't hear from him that much anymore, because he has his own family. And that kind of breaks my heart, because you can tell that she loves her family, even when she gave
Yeah,
us.
you could feel the
um
pain from that. You could,
yeah.
Brandon, you're right.
Do
Like
you, you
last
remember
week when
when
she told us that
we hmm
you're
go ahead.
freezing up. I don't know a lot. Can you? Is your thing okay
Yep,
over there?
everything's
Seems
okay
like
over.
it to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything's okay over here.
So, so yeah, I could feel this last time when she said to us last week. You could just feel the loneliness, right? You could feel it. But at the same time, Brandon, as you talked about, you asking her. That's what I mean. In every situation that you feel you're in, um, there's someone at the table, maybe not to um, fulfill that need completely, because
Hmm.
oftentimes we miss the message thinking that we need it from a particular person. And I have this saying where it's not that you don't want what's on the table, you want someone different at the table, someone
Hmm.
else there, right?
Hmm.
And so you disregard um, what's on the table because the person you want sitting at the table with you is not there. It's someone else. Because I truly believe that God provides us our every need,
Yeah.
whether it's through food or I've been hungry and someone has fed me enough for the day, right? I've been homeless and someone has put me up for the night
Right.
or a few nights. And sometimes the places wasn't the people, the even the people who, not all, but and my brother will know this one. Sometimes people will attempt to do good um and have a the wrong kind of heart behind it.
Yeah.
Sometimes your mouth will say yes and your actions really says no. I don't want you here. I remember thinking, and this is because we're talking about home. I remember last year, I believe it was a classmate. Someone brought her name up, and I remembered how her family, her mother and father, man, y'all, her mother and father took us in like we were their own. That was the place where I never, and I called her, and get this, I called her and say, you know what? I just want to thank you because I was young.
Mm.
We went to school together, so imagine just the embarrassment for that I thought of even needing to go stay with um, my classmate and her mother and father. I'm telling y'all, those people were they. I felt like they were my parents. I felt
Mm.
like we were born together, raised. And she was what she said to me was, Tammy, I don't even remember that. She said,
She
y'all
remember
can't
y'all
say
staying together?
yes. No, she said my parents did that so often till it wasn't a thing for them as children. Like, cause people, that's how, if people are in need, man, I'm telling you, she had some of the dopest. Her mother and father were just great people. And then on the flip side of that, there was a place that we went to where it wasn't comfortable. Like I remember feeling like I'd rather be homeless than to be here because I'm still homeless. Because I'm in someone's house who I really feel does not want me or my brother here. Right. You know? So home is where it all comes together. I'll say that. It all comes together. And if you're in any place and you're lonely, then you have to go to your heart. Am I lonely because I'm not welcoming the love, or is it that I really don't have it? And in most cases, I think you will find, even if it's in a nursing home, you will find that there's one person in that nursing home who loves you dearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's one person in that nursing home that you could love dearly. And so, but oftentimes, Brandon, like you said yesterday, we forget about, we make where we are. How did you say this yesterday? You can't forget the assignment. I'm going to say that. Look at life as an assignment, but you have a
Yeah. We like make the battle
responsibility.
bigger than war.
Right, right. Yeah, right. And that's what I meant yesterday by saying, God can open a door for us and we expect to go into that place. Let's say if he opens the door of a home to you, we can go in that place and we expect because that God opened it, that everything that house needs is there. The utilities are on, the refrigerator is stocked with food. It has the all the right furniture because God sent us here, right? So everything has to be right for it. Everything is right. But let me tell you, when God sends you, you better expect some things to go wrong or to look like they're going wrong. But you remember, I'm on an assignment. And if it's the nursing home, this is where my assignment is right now. And there are some elderly people who will go in a nursing home. I remember Roland, Jimmy's uncle, who went in a nursing home because his wife was placed there. And so he wanted to go so that he could be there with his wife.
Oh wow.
Y'all see think about that. He can do all he can do for himself. But he wanted to go because that's where his wife had to go.
Hmm.
Imagine that. And she got to the point where she didn't even know he was there because but he wanted to be there. He wanted her presence. He wanted to be near her. So more than about being home alone, this is about being loved. And Miss Brenda, thank you. Miss Brenda says, thank you for those words. Don't keep feeding traumatic experiences. I know I have been guilty to give away my power to those things, and it
Mm.
has kept me angry and depressed at times. So the traumatic thing is not happening. That's what I mean by that. Like whatever, not minimizing the effects of trauma, but trauma has happened. Now, if it's happening to you now, that's a different thing. Deal with the situation,
Yeah.
but don't keep death alive. Don't keep death alive because keeping death alive kills you in the living. So whatever has happened to you, it has happened to you. It is no longer happening to you unless you are feeding it through your heart, through your mind, through your thoughts. As the back of the book says, every thought which utters our mind, every word that enters our mind, every word we utter, right? Every deed we perform makes its impression on the innermost fiber of our being. So, what are you thinking? What are your actions, right? You're in control of those. Talk yourself out of those, reliving those traumatic experiences so that your heart is not lonely and that you're able to receive love, have meaningful relationships, know that you need people, whether you're in the nursing home, your home, or somebody else's home.
Mm-hmm.
Know that you need people. So
And people need
there you
you.
go, Brandon. People
All
need
right.
you.
And people need you there.
You wearing the pimping or the pimping? What is it, Brandon? The pimping wearing you or you wearing the pimping?
Exactly, exactly. And y'all, we are social beings. Your happiness, the longevity of your life, is directly related to your relationships. Another part of say that the people that lived the longest were the people that had more closeness and tightness and ties to their friends and family, that had significant relationships. Um, uh, Especially people that were visited often lived longer. People that are visited often, oftentimes lived longer. Right. So I think that says something to us, and I think it's a dishonor to our elders to let them fall off to the wayside. Like if you have a mother that's close to you and she needs something, and you're her son or her daughter, you should check on her. That goes without saying, because you could never repay her back. There's a there was a story. There's a hadith in Islam about that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that there was a man that came to him, and he had taken his mother to pilgrimage. Right, had taken a pilgrimage with his mother. This is a one of the pillars of Islam. If you're able to make Hajj or the pilgrimage, um, then you should go to pray there and ask for forgiveness, and take a holy pilgrimage. Right, like what Malcolm X did when he went to Mecca in the movie by Spike Lee. So this is where he met Muslims that were white and black and Chinese and of all ethnicities, and he was like, I thought all the Muslims was black, right? Well, anyway, the trip to Mecca as a pilgrimage is a pillar of our faith. And a man said, I took my mother to pilgrimage, and I carried her on my back through all the the rites and the customs and rituals of prayer and things like that. And he said, I carried her around the Kaaba. You know, I did this for her, I did this for her. She can't really walk. So he's carrying her on her back. And he said, have I repaid my mother, for what she's done for me? Like, is this something that is this a repayment for my mother? I helped her fulfill a pillar of her faith. Is this repayment for my mother? And you know what the prophet said, peace be upon him? He said, you haven't even repaid one of her birth modes. Like, you haven't even repaid one of her moans from when she was giving birth to you. Isn't that incredible?
Hmm.
Your mother. You picked her up, carried her, you're providing for her. She's in her elder age. You're carrying her on your back through this arduous kind of test for you, because there's rites of things that you do during the pilgrimage. And he carried his mother through that. Yes, have I repaid her at all for all that she's done for me? And the prophet, peace be upon him, said, you haven't even for one of her birth moans, one of her moans, and when she's giving birth to you. So do you think you repaid her for how she breastfed you? Do you think you paid her for all her patience with you? And so now that she's in her elder years, heaven is at her feet, and which is another hadith that says that heaven is at your mother's feet. So don't do your mother wrong. How many of us have mothers or even fathers that are in their elder years that need us in a way that might be inconvenient for our own self-service? Because as kids, sometimes we get used to being um, the one given things, receiving. Why isn't my mom doing this for me? Like, I was raised this way, and she wasn't there in this way when I was young, and she did this when we're making it all about us, right? Right? As if they stand to benefit from a better relationship. Maybe physically, but spiritually, it's us. It's through the service to our elders that our own hearts are purified. Right? It's our service to the people in need through which our hearts are purified. And your first charity, this is before you give that money to the panhandler. This is before you write that check to that charity. That 501c3. This is before you go volunteer at the neighborhood cleanup, right? is the first charity is due to your family. Your first charity is due to your family. Who in your family is in need? What do we look like going out and saving the world and losing our family? You know, whether it be to us, um, them being depressed in their elder years because no one's visiting them, or from us not taking the time to raise our children. Because and I'll end with this: what the compensation is for the things that we do to our children. For example, a lot of people are raising their children to be detached. They put them in front of a screen for the vast majority of their time, or they don't engage with them in a critical way, in an emotional way, in a spiritual way. You know, things necessary for the development of character, of empathy, of
Mm.
compassion, right, of accountability. And then, and at the same, because we're working, and at the same time, we're absent on our elders as they get older, and so the children are doing what they're seeing what you're doing to your elders, and then you're raising them differently and in a more detached way than even your parents raised you, and look at how you're treating them. So how do you think your children are going to treat you when you get old? Are they going to be more attached or less attached when you've raised them around social media and and screens and not had those relationships? It's going to be easier for them to let you go to the nursing home. It's going to be easier for them to say, "Oh, well, she has dementia. She doesn't remember me anyway." There's no point. It's going to be easier for them to say, "You know what? Let's just get her the small room. She don't know no
Mm.
difference." Oh, we don't have to go visit her. You know what? We don't have to invite her to the graduation. You know what? We don't have to go pick her up and take her to the park. We don't. It it's about us, right? But if only we knew how much it actually was about them and how much we were to benefit in the purification of our own heart and the expiation of our sins. Don't you know that God will forgive you for you helping somebody? For how many angels accompany you as you go visit a sick person in the hospital? And my faith says that over 70,000 angels accompany you when you go visit the sick and the needy in the hospital.
Mm.
That you're accompanied because they're telling God about you. God, look at your servant, taking the time out of their day to go visit the sick, the needy, the hurt, the ill. Imagine if you're going to visit your mother, your father, your uncle, your grandmother. If you only knew the benefits, I think we would do it more. But is it really worth it when we're so self-serving? Like God's a vending machine. Okay, if I do this, you're gonna give me this. If I do this, you're gonna give me this. Our intention, our intention,
Yeah.
and that magnifies the compensation for that deed spiritually, whether it be good or bad. It can decrease it based on your intention. All right, just like you were speaking of earlier, they do it with a without the right spirit. You can do the right thing with the wrong spirit, and you will take away from that deed.
Mm.
But you know what? You can do a bad deed with good etiquettes and do it in a nice way, and you'll beautify it. You'll beautify it for the person, encouraging them to do more harm, more bad. So careful, guys, with the power of your intention and the power of your own spirit, the spirit that you bring into these spaces and places, because that impacts the outcomes. But take care of your elders. What does the affirmation say? Go visit somebody, your aunts, aunties, uncles, grandparents, parents. Mom, you and I were talking about this earlier about Irene, you know,
Yeah.
speaking to her, visiting her, and you spoke about, man, how would I feel if something happened to her and we hadn't gone down there to visit her in a while? So maybe let's take that step and see what we can do to plan to go visit, call, check on, or something like that with our elders. And you got how many uncles and aunties? 16. 16 total. I mean, I know some
I
of them have transitioned, but and they have kids, and so we have a lot. Think about your great aunts. Your great aunts are still alive.
Yeah. 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 I have
My
a
great
few.
great aunts are still alive. So so let's check on them, y'all, and see how they doing. And there's so much of our own history, so much about ourselves that we don't even remember, but that they can tell us. There's so much about our family stories that they can tell us, you know, that we're not privy to and we won't benefit from, and we don't have the power to the ability to pass it on to the next generation because we haven't even asked and we haven't spent time with them. So speaking to myself first. So that's all I got.
Okay, so Brandon, and I want to make sure that I say this because we may have some elderly people listening to this show who and I feel that there are no, there are so many elderly people who did not allow the space to heal from their
Mm,
traumatic experiences, and they've gone a lifetime living a life of hell, right? And this happens, you guys. So we talk about the sweet side of motherhood and fatherhood, but we all know that our mothers and fathers were children, and they
yeah.
even as parents, they had their own traumatic experiences that they dealt with or did not deal with. And
Mm,
when for those who did not deal with it, it poured over into your relationships, your
mm,
connections with them, right? And I'm thankful for
yeah.
this because, again, I keep getting something for. I'm going to be speaking to a senior citizens group, and I've been pondering. I've changed the topic so many times, the message. And when I initially was asked to do it, I thought about how I wanted to express how much more you have to give. Don't let the old age be the end age. We need you. We need your wisdom. We need to know what you would do different if you had to do it all over again. If you could, we
Right.
need your space in our space.
Right.
And Brandon said something a few days ago, and he said the word use it about something, and then I changed it to use it. Right. So, but I'm going to compile it all
You
together
said we
because
use it to what?
you use it. I'm going to you use the word use it in one of the discussions a few days ago, and I can't remember what it was exactly about, but I wrote use it down because I changed it to it being titled use it, and I still
Oh.
may do that, but bring it still all together, meaning you still have something. Use it, even if you're in the nursing
Mm,
home, because there are some people in the nursing home that there's some young people in the nursing home. If you've not been there in a while, I mean, there's young people, 40, 50, 60, who get sick and can't take care of themselves and end up in a nursing home. So it's not all elderly people, but more, I guess I should say this, it's even people who are in homes, but really they're in a nursing home because they're unavailable for love,
mm.
right? Or that there's no one there to love them. So it's about the home,
Mhm.
not it being a nursing home. Could be some elderly people that somebody decide or can't send them to a nursing home, but they're not loving them properly. Or they may be
Right.
loving them properly, but because the elderly person is angry because I'm here, and so they don't receive the love.
Right.
So this is a two-sided coin. So if there's an elderly person out there and there's someone trying to love you, if your child is trying to love you, if your sister is trying to love you, but you don't feel loved, then that's on you. And that means you have to deal with some issues in order to be received. Because yesterday it said, unless you are your own architect, was it yesterday, Brandon? Oh,
So,
no, yep, yesterday. Can't nothing, and it said can't nothing make your life work if you ain't the architect. Not even somebody trying to love you
mm.
will work because you don't feel loved, right? So as we work to close, there's something I found here, Brandon, that I want to share. I guess I want to put my hands back on it. Um, I'll tell you what, Brandon, go ahead and do the affirmation because, and I'll close us out with this. Let me just, for some reason, it has gone away, but let me see if I can get it
Yeah.
back up.
We appreciate y'all for listening, for watching, I hope some of our insights have given some perspective to this passage, at least from our opinion. I'm sure you all have your own. And when you do, please make sure that you add those to the chat because they add to the conversation, to its depth and the dynamic conversation that we're having here. It gives us some more to work with and some other perspective because it's not all about us here, guys. This is a barbecue where your first plate you sit at this table, your second plate you go sit and talk to somebody else. You guys know how that is. You come back to you go get your second plate. You come back, somebody then took your seat. That seat's theirs now. Go sit next to an elder today, right? I want you all to think of an elder that may have the time in the morning, in their retirement, to watch the In the Season podcast. The person that we're going to invite to the barbecue today, let's think of an elder, right? Let's think of some person that's an elder and bring them to the proverbial barbecue. So thank y'all so much for rocking with us today. On June 2nd, our title was Home Alone. And the quote came from Sadie Alexander, the first African American female to receive a PhD in economics, who said, "The most lonely place in the world is the human heart when love is absent." And after a brief passage about a nursing home facility and the relationships and friendships that are either there or not there, whether they're lonely or whether they have people visiting, whether they remember or they have dementia, you can still remember that none of us totally control our future, and that those of us who can remember the way our friends were when they were healthy can still love and respect them for the person we know they once were, right? And so the affirmation today, we read three times, one for me, one for you, and one for the elder that you're going to send this to, is today I will thank my aunts, uncles, and grandparents and elders for serving as an inspiration. Today, I will thank my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and elders for serving as an inspiration. And last time, say it out loud or internally. Today, I will thank my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and elders for serving as an inspiration. All right, guys. Mom, did you find your quote?
I did. I have two things.
You did?
So this is a
Okay.
question: why do I feel unloved even though I am loved? And it says, if you know you're in a healthy, loving relationship, and I'm not referring to just a romantic relationship, you guys, but if you know you're in a healthy, loving relationship, but you still feel unloved, this is a strong indication of unresolved trauma. Most of our clients experienced their first trauma in childhood. Most
Mm,
of our clients experience their first trauma in childhood, and that is why I say it is more important. Your child's emotional well-being is more important than any A's and B's or your feeling comfortable.
mm,
Your feeling comfortable, meaning sometimes the way that we respond to children is out of our discomfort of embarrassment. How can a 2 or 3 or 1 year old embarrass you? And to hell with what the
right.
side sayers or side lookers are saying about what you should do to
Mm,
your child. And I do believe in discipline, but I do believe in allowing children to have an emotional moment, because don't you damn adults do it every day, all day,
yep.
right? And I don't apologize for my words. And so here's the other one. What disorder makes you feel unloved? What disorder makes you feel unloved? Borderline personality. Even the bird agrees with me, right? Borderline personality disorder is a mental health condition that is characterized by a pervasive pattern of instability in relationships, instability in self image, instability in moods and behavior, and hypersensitive to possible rejection. and abandonment. I need to read that one again. Borderline personality disorder is a mental health condition that is characterized by a pervasive pattern, pervasive pattern of instability in relationships. And that instability
Mm-hmm.
in relationships often comes or begins at childhood. As Brandon talked about, the disconnect that you may feel because parents are working more than they're loving, and they're working to working for things that you don't even need, like the 5 bedroom house that you can't afford, so you have to work, which takes away time from the child, right? So the pattern of instability
Right.
in relationships, self-image, moods, and behavior, and hypersensitive to possible rejection and abandonment. So this is not just a senior thing, y'all. This is a childhood thing as well. And the senior who is in the nursing home or someone's home who feels unloved likely felt unloved as a child, because it starts at childhood. Look around us. And as I close, I Miss Freddie, y'all. If y'all ever go to Walmart in Cordova, Miss Freddie is a little short African American lady with all gray afro, sweetest little thing. I heard someone curse her, a young lady, probably about my age, I don't know, 40, I don't know, something. I heard a young lady curse her out because she's doing her job. Like called her a old bow-legged bee,
For what?
and walked proud because she checks them out at the door. So if you have something that's not in a bag, she has to check it. And she got angry, as I watched many of them do, right? Some were very polite. But what I said to Miss Freddie yesterday, I saw some kids and I kept seeing them come through the door, but one family particularly struck me. It was a man, a woman, and 3 girls. And you could sum up that one of the girls was the dad's, based on the look and everything. You just knew that one of the girls was the dad and the other two probably was the moms from a previous marriage or something. You could clearly tell the difference. Um, but the 2 girls that I felt thought, you know, that were the moms, biological children, they looked so they looked like they had the weight of the world on their shoulders, and they couldn't be more than maybe 9 and 12, 13 or so. And I said to Miss Freddie, I said, Miss Freddie, these kids look so unhappy. And I remember as a child at some point, and had my own stuff for sure as a child, but I remember running around and playing and being for the most part happy and not really understanding how much how many traumatic experiences I had dealt with. But I still remembered for the most part being happy. And I hope that I didn't look like the sorrow I saw in those kids yesterday. So they came in, and as they went out, the man grabbed the hand of what I assumed to be his daughter, and they were walking out. And the eldest of the other two looked at him as if, boy, I wish I had my dad here to hold my hand. And so what I think that probably brought
Mm.
about is a longing for her father, because the way I said, I mean, I know the dad is doing what he thinks he should do, but I don't know how he didn't see what I saw, and especially in the older girl of the other two. And so I'm saying this to say, y'all, it starts long before it gets to the nursing home. It starts long before that. And so, fathers, as we talked about when we started earlier, I shared with you all that were here about, what we're doing about the fatherless world and things like that, the documentary, and how important fathers are. I'm going to speak to you fathers right now, you men. Pour into these boys and these girls. Hold them accountable from the male powerful perspective. It's something different about your voice. It's something different about your presence, or it should be.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
should be. Let me
Mm.
say that. It should be. You should walk in the house and whatever was messed up should straighten up, right? Brandon's
Yeah.
kind of like Zali and Tupac with their room. Most precious. They steal, you guys. If I go over in the room, they think it's not clean. Like I've asked them, keep your room clean so your mom doesn't have to do so much and this and that, you know. And now they look up to that. They want it to be clean. No, grandma, don't go in my room yet. Got to go clean it. And I've gone in
Right.
and think it's not that bad, right? So kids, don't let our kids be these elderly people or young people in a nursing home or in their home feeling unloved. But for those of you who are in a nursing home or in your own home and someone's trying to love you, hey, don't let it be in vain. Don't let it be in vain. Don't keep living your traumatic experiences, right? So
Yeah. Don't be so
that's
prideful to where you don't allow people to love you and
right.
to gift you things or to spend that time with you.
Right. Or the patterns of instability, you know, in relationships, the patterns of your own um, self-destructed self-image or your moods or your behavior and hypersensitive, right? Possibility to rejections and abandonment. So you trying to avoid being feeling rejected and abandoned again as you may have felt in childhood. You're trying to not feel that way again, but you are pushing the people away who love you and who are trying to love you, who are not going to abandon you or reject you. So, over to you, Brandon. We'll close this thing on out.
Well, I've already given y'all the title, Home Alone. The quote was the loneliest place in the world is the human heart that doesn't feel love. I think it is. Let
Yeah,
me see.
yeah,
Go back. And
yeah.
oh,
Heart
oh, when
when
love
love
is
is not absent. When love is absent.
is the heart when love is absent. Y'all remember that affirmation that's going at the bottom of your screen. Practice it today. Come back tomorrow and let us know a conversation that you had with an elder. There might be a conversation that you need to have with one of your elders. Go have it today. Come back and let us know what became of it. These affirmations are here for a reason, guys. This is if we're going to read this book, then we have to live this book out, right? To see
Mm,
if to really see the benefits that we read about. If we want if we want to be to be motivated for African American success or motivated for success in general, then the best way for us to do it is to give the book a try, not just by buying it and reading it aimlessly, but for allowing it the space to whatever degree we can absorb it to guide our day to day through these affirmations. Does it fit every day? I don't know. It does for me, but it might not for you. But take what you can and give it a shot. Give it a try. Speak to an elder today. See what becomes of it. And I pray and hope that you'll find not only value in this book, but also value in what it's encouraging you, motivating you, and to affirming you to do. So if that happens, let us know. If it doesn't, let us know. But either way, come back tomorrow, 7 a.m., and join us on the End of the Season podcast for our 124th day. And give us a little something in the comments. All right, y'all. Take care. We love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Go to the YouTube End the Season podcast, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you get notified when we go live. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Take care. Peace.
peace.